Hello and welcome to Management 333, Business Analytics for Decision Making. My name is Dr. Gruss and I'm going to be the instructor. This course is the first of a three-course sequence here at the business school in which you start to get really into the quantitative side of business decision making. It's an extension of Stat 200 and also the math prerequisites that you had before that. And it precedes operations management and then finally strategy. What I would like to do with this introductory video is three things. I want to first just try to define analytics. It's kind of a new term, and not everybody agrees what it means. Then I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the mechanics of the course, that is the resources that you need, and exactly how to go about doing the assignments to ensure the greatest likelihood of your success. And then finally, I'm going to introduce you to the first assignment that I'm going to collect, which is an Excel spreadsheet-based what-if analysis where you look at the components of your grades and then do some exercise. And I think that'll be a good one to help you kind of understand the course and also is a good little warm-up for using Excel, which we'll do quite a bit in this course. So first of all, business analytics is, or analytics in general rather, really just means using data and computational models to make some kind of decision. Now, using data to make a decision is not a new idea, but analytics is a new term, and it's because the sophistication has grown so great lately that it's become a specialty on its own. In general, analytics kind of has its theoretical roots in scientific management, which was introduced in the early 20th century by Frederick Taylor with the publication of the Principles of Scientific Management. This book actually constituted the first 2 years, I think, of the Harvard Business School curriculum for many years. He really kind of brought a scientific exactness to work design and process design and worker evaluation. This picture here shows somebody conducting a stopwatch study where we had some kind of piece of manufacturing that was subdivided into its components, and they knew exactly how long each movement should take. So for example, she clearly has to pick up this sprocket here, this cog, and rotate it. Well, they actually measure how far she has to reach, how much it has to rotate. So there was a real precision to this. And this tradition kind of continues today with organizations like UPS. UPS has got a tremendous analytics system where they know details like how long it takes to unbuckle a seatbelt, how long it takes to turn into a driveway, whether they're going uphill or downhill and how things are affected by weather. So they can make very clear decisions about, staffing or changing routes. And another example of an organization that has brought scientific management to perfection is McDonald's. I don't know how many of you still to this day have your first job at McDonald's. I certainly did. It was pretty common when I was young. But they're great ones for bringing a certain kind of precision of measurement to the exact procedures that you use and exactly how long things are cooked and how long things should take. So analytics then kind of starts with this traditional quantitative measurement, data-driven side to business, and then extends it to something much more sophisticated. So what we mean in general by business analytics is really just the intelligent use of data to drive business decisions. So throughout the semester, we're going to be looking at business decisions, and as we get into these sophisticated models, it really always comes back to answering some kind of key operational business decision. So for example, how many people will buy our product? We're going to be looking at forecasting, some demographic studies and customer segmentation. Which products should we make and how many? So this would be, something using product mix optimization, conjoint analysis, and collaborative filtering. You don't know what those are yet, but you'll see. What kind of risks should we plan for? That is credit scoring, fraud detection, and social media analytics. Where is the best place to build a factory or a retail outlet or a distribution center or a warehouse or any kind of location decision is it really, they're very highly sophisticated models for figuring out the best way to do that. Even a question as simple as how many lines or kiosks or servers should we have? There's a whole field of analysis that does these simulations where, well, you don't know what will happen to the wait time or customer satisfaction if you have 3 servers versus 2. So you put that into a computer, you let it run for a day, and then you simulate what happens throughout the course of a day, and you see, well, how long did people wait? How many times did people stop waiting? And so you lost a customer. So hopefully we'll be able to get to some simulation later in the course. And then finally, are we meeting quality standards? And there's a whole sophisticated approach to statistical quality control, and hopefully we'll have some time to get into that as well. But in general, business analytics is divided into 3 rough categories. That is the descriptive, the predictive, and the prescriptive. So descriptive analytics is really just the description of a situation that's happening now. And 99% of what I've seen that is called analytics really kind of falls into this category. Visualizations, these charts and graphs, or where they just report, percentage growth or financial ratios or something like that. These are really just descriptions. So they leave a lot up to the manager about what kinds of decisions he makes on the basis of that described data. So these actually move from requiring less and less of judgment and intuition to go into using the output of these analytics. So descriptive statistics just kind of tells you what's happening. Predictive analytics tries to make a prediction about what will happen. So as we get into regression, we're going to be using regression for forecasting, and so these will make predictions. So we are actually going to look at this example. Which of my customers will churn? Okay, so that is, what customers will we lose, given various things like how often they've had to call customer service, how much they've purchased, and so forth. So these will make predictions about what will happen in the future. So prescriptive analytics is really more about coming to a decision for you. An optimal decision. So, for example, so given what we've described and given what we've predicted, well, what should I do about it? And prescriptive analytics, which we'll be getting to kind of in the end of the semester, actually take a look at these parameters and figure out what is going to be the optimal approach. So the techniques of optimization and simulation are really ways of doing these prescriptive analytics. So they prescribe some kind of course of action. Okay, and so just in general, one of the reasons why we're really trying to beef up the analytics offerings here at the business school is because the job market is really great for it right now. These skills are highly in demand. The McKinsey Global Institute said that there's going to be a major shortage of people with the analytical skills of the sort that we teach here. There's an anticipation that there's going to be, along the order of hundreds of thousands of jobs opening up. And so salaries are just going to, keep rising because of that. And most of these jobs, some of them, require advanced degrees, but the vast majority of them, that 90% of them, don't actually require anything beyond, a bachelor's degree and a bachelor's degree in business of the sort that you're getting here. Okay, so as far as like these analytics jobs, who's qualified for these? Um, this kind of analysis, as you'll see, requires kind of three rough categories of skills. There are, math expertise, and you'll see that that does become an issue as we start to look at some of the more complicated models. Technology, hacking skills. We're not going to be doing much programming here, but your Excel skills are going to get quite good throughout the course of this term. And then finally, business strategy or acumen. Um, these This is generally considered to be the most important. So, the math and the technology help you to answer the questions, but the key skill is going to be discovering what questions to ask. And it's often more important to ask the right question than to get to an answer. Okay, so I think that there's a real opportunity here for new business graduates to move into this analytics, and this will be the first step for those of you who do want to do more. Radford is offering some more analytics courses. There's a course in marketing analytics, and there's a course in social media text analytics, which I take. And so if you find that this is for you, I encourage you to go ahead and check those courses out. Okay, with the remainder of this introductory lecture, I want to just introduce you to some of the, how exactly to use this online format, how to get the most out of the, these resources so that you can do the best that you can in the course. So if you take a look at the syllabus, the first thing I want to point out is the required materials. So most of your work will be submitted through MyStatLab. And once you purchase the access card through the bookstore, and please make note of this ISBN number, once you have that, you'll have access to the online text also. I'm just going to quickly show you what you can expect to see. So there are also on D2L, I've included some instructions on exactly how to go about connecting. So you go to this URL and follow some instructions to activate your account. And this is the course number for our particular course, so you'll just put that in there to find it, and then you can sign in. And once you have done that, when you sign in, the course will be right here, and you'll enter into it. And most of the time when you come in here, you'll either be doing reading for your reading assignment, or you'll be completing your homework here. The homework is just right here under homework, and we'll go through the schedule for now. All I'm going to point out is that I've got MSL stands for My Stat Lab, and you have I think 10 of these throughout the course of the semester, and these will become available one by one. And when you go into your assignment, you'll just see your list of questions down here, and you can click on them to answer them. And one thing I'll point out is sometimes people have trouble if they're zoomed in too far. Their screen is of too large of a resolution that the control buttons at the bottom are missing. If you hit Control minus, it'll lower the resolution. Zoom out a little bit so that you actually have what you need down here. So you'll have a number of questions. You can navigate here. You can read them here. Just select your answer. On the homeworks, you get 2 tries. So I'll just go to check answer, and it turns out that that's not correct, and it'll give me some pointers. Try another one, see if that one's right. Okay, so I had 2 unlucky guesses, and I can just navigate to the next question this way. Okay, so that's going to be how all the MSL homeworks are completed. The other thing that you have available here is the textbook. So the textbook is, let me see, I want to make sure that I'm visible here. The textbook is Basic Business Statistics, and I believe on the syllabus it's just called Berenson. This is the book that you get after you sign into the MyStatLab course. And it's going to be available here under chapter contents. And really anything you click in here is going to launch the reader, and then you can go anywhere once you're in the reader. But so for example, for next assignment next date, you have chapter 1 due. You can click on chapter 1. This is the start of chapter 1, and it does work even if you have the pop-up blocker enabled, as I do. So there you go, and you can just page through it. Okay, so your assignment is to read chapter 1 for next time, and I do have, once we get into descriptive statistics, I'll have a little more material for you. Okay, so that's really most of what we'll do. The other thing that you'll notice in my stat lab is this this study plan. Study plan lets you practice things that aren't necessarily going to be on your homework assignment. So if you have a particular weakness, let's say you consistently find that you don't really know how to calculate a p-value, then this will help you identify those problems and give you some extra practice. Okay, but for the most part, we'll just be using homework and the chapter contents as the textbook. Okay, so that's the MyStat Lab. So getting back to the syllabus, if you come down here and take a look at the course grading composition, you see that we have 2 exams, and both of these exams are going to be taken through D2L using the lockdown browser. So if you haven't already, follow the instructions on D2L for installing the lockdown browser client. It's a tool where you have to use your webcam and have to hold up your ID, and it lets me make sure that you're not cheating on the exams. So those these 200 points are going to consist of your performance on exams. They're going to be in D2L, they're going to be multiple choice, and so they're each worth 100 points. Now, in addition to that, you see we have 300 other points where 100 of it is project, and I'm going to say more about that later. And in addition, we have assignments. That is the MSL, the MyStat Lab assignments are going to add up to 100 points. And your participation, which for this course is going to consist of the reading summaries that you'll submit through D2L. And again, I'll say more about that in a minute. And the lab assignments. Okay, so a total of 500 points. Moving down to the schedule, I'll just point out a few things. So the way this works, I'm going to try to keep you in sync with my in-class 333 section of 333 as much as possible. And the reason for that is I encourage you, especially if you're having trouble, to go ahead and come to the class. It meets at Tuesday and Thursday, 9:30 to 10:45. We do a lot of things in class that kind of help reinforce and clarify some of these things. And so some people find it a lot easier to be in class than online. So for that reason, I try to keep you kind of on a Tuesday, Thursday schedule, even though technically we don't have a real schedule. So you'll see dates here that are the Tuesdays and Thursdays that correspond to that class. And for each of these, we have a preparation, which is the work that you're supposed to do to acquire the knowledge of the content, and then the assignment that's actually due that day. And so, so you do these first, and then you come over here and do these, okay? And so notice that the readings in orange here, that's C, that is Kroll. These come from this other book, the second book on our, the list of required materials. This is a book that I just added this year, Lean Analytics. Use data to build a better startup faster. The reason I added this book to the curriculum is that some people felt that we were kind of lost in mathematics and kind of moved away from actually how a business works. And so while this gets us really in depth in terms of how to measure something, this kind of reminds us what it is that we're measuring and why we're measuring that. I think you'll find that this is a fairly easy read, and I think it's kind of a fun read. And a lot of the metrics that are in here, they show you the importance of those particular metrics. But this is where we're actually going to learn how to use those metrics, how to do hypothesis tests on them, and maybe some regressions on those. Okay, so they kind of complement each other, where one is the what do we measure and the other is how do we measure it. So each week you have a reading from at least one of those, and also some videos. Now I have made some videos, and you'll find those on D2L under this video modules. And I have not made a video about everything. These are really just for the identified topics that people have had trouble with in the past and have asked a lot of questions about. So I've made these for your reference. If you already feel pretty comfortable, there's really no need to watch these. I'm not requiring them. If you already know all there is to know about finding normal probabilities or skew and correlation, there's no need to watch this. I just really made this so that you'll have something to consult if there's something that you lost and didn't quite understand or can't figure out how to do. Okay, so those videos are listed here as part of your requirements. Now the readings are not optional, and I do ask you to give me on each day that we have a reading from the Kroll book, that is, this is the Lean Analytics book, I want you to, on the date that it's due, give me a one-page summary. So, the normal way of doing it will be, you'll see the topic, you'll watch the videos, do the reading, you'll do this Kroll reading, produce a little summary, and then submit this to the, on D2L, I've got submission folders here for each of the reading assignments. So as you complete those reading assignments, so it's chapter 1 through 2, 3 through 4, chapter 5, as you complete them, just go ahead and give me that summary. So these summaries are going to be your study guide for the part of the second exam that will consist of material from here. Okay. And you might also notice that you have, for most days you have both that reading summary to do and an assignment on MyStatLab. So this first one, you see you have a reading from the Kroll, a reading from the Berenson. B stands for the Berenson. That's this textbook. And then you got to submit the reading summary and the MyStatLab assignment too. Okay, so some of these weeks are quite busy. Remember that it's generally understood that a 3-credit class would entail 6 hours of work a week, and I think with that workload, you should be able to accomplish this without too much trouble. Okay. I guess there's not much more to say. If you have any questions about the schedule or the content or anything, please send me an email. Since we're not actually ever going to meet face-to-face, I do hope to hear from you over email if you are having any questions or problems. Okay. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I would like for you to do for next time. If you go on to D2L and go to content and lab exercises, you'll see the first thing that I would like for you to complete. First of all, for those of you, I have seen people have trouble with this, so sorry if this sounds idiotic, but Excel spreadsheets don't preview very well in D2L. So, when I ask you to download an Excel spreadsheet, make sure you're clicking on this arrow and you go to download, okay? Because it'll try to open it up and sometimes it looks crazy. And also, even Word documents don't preview very well. I think this one, because it's short, has a pretty good preview. But this is what I'm asking you to do, and I've created a submission folder for it on D2L also. But I'm asking you to download this Excel spreadsheet and start to do various exercises in it. I think this is helpful. So here's what it looks like. And each of these colored sections here is an element of your grade, right? So we had the assignments over here. There's your average for that section. So these are your MSL assignments, right? So those are worth that's 100 points for that section. You have your lab assignments over here. So remember that whole section is worth 100 points. And you've got your exams. Now remember, this section is actually worth 200 points because each of these exams is worth 100 points. And then finally, there's the project. And I'll do a separate video for the project. But what I'm asking you to do in the first lab assignment is to just put in some plausible scores and then to try a few things out. So you'll need to put in a formula. So this row here will compute the averages of each of these sections. So for example, you would just do, that this is equal to the average of all of these. Okay, so that'll give you your average. Now it's division by 0 here because we don't have anything in here, but so I might just say, okay, well, these are not too hard, so I would expect a 90, an 89, maybe an occasional 75, so on and so forth. So your average will be updated down here. And when you, so what you'll do is combine all of these averages and then calculate them in a way that corresponds to what's on the syllabus. So if you come back here, this will tell you how much they are weighted. Okay, so you'll have to, in addition to computing these, figure out, well, how do I combine these into my final score? And so once you put in, just numbers for what you think, let's say exams give me trouble, I can expect a 70, maybe 74, but I plan to do a great job on the project. And so you put these in here and combine them. And then I ask you questions like, let's see, let's go back here. If you raise an assignment score by 10 points, how much does your final score increase? And everybody's answer will be the same regardless of what you put in here. So you would say, okay, well, I get 10 points more here, it'll go like that. And then what you would do is tell me how many points did this increase. Okay, so I really just want you to take this downloaded Word file and answer all those questions, and then submit it to the submission folder on D2L. Okay, so and then please keep this spreadsheet throughout the semester if you'd like to keep all of your grades in line, because this will tell you exactly how you're doing, in addition to being like a Excel warm-up here. Okay, all right, so that will be due. It's a little bit late to ask you to do it on Thursday, so please just try to get that to me like before Friday, we'll say. Okay, and don't forget that you have reading assignments and my stat lab work that are going to be due coming up very quickly. Okay, so again, welcome to the course, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come by my office in Kyle Hall or send me an email.